Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to Geek Fruit Retcon, where we travel back in time to a previous episode from our inglorious history on the Geek Fruit Podcast. Happy listening, you nerds.
Hi and welcome to the Geek Fruit Podcast. You're listening to me, Tejas. We have Jishnu and Dinkar is in the studio today. Hi, Dinkar.
Hello, how do you do?
Dinkar, for all our newer listeners who barely even know us pretty much, but apart from Jishnu and I, there are others who also are part of the Geek Fruit team, the core team, the inner circle, if you will. And Dinkar is here today with us because we have a big one to talk about.
Yeah.
Which one is it? I was gonna be like, I was gonna be like, we have a big one to talk about. And he was like, yeah, it's Civil War. And then you were just like,
man, yeah. Okay, we're talking about Captain America, Civil War.
Yes. Jishnu.
What they said, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're talking about.
I agree.
We're talking about Civil War today, but because we want to give an ample warning to all the listeners, we're not going to talk about any spoilers in the first 5 to 10 minutes of this episode. So. Radiohead's new song is out.
Yeah.
Radiohead's new song is out.
Yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah, I did,
I haven't
yeah.
heard it yet.
I haven't heard it yet either.
I've heard mixed reviews.
It's good. I like it.
Of the song?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have never seen Radiohead go wrong.
Yeah.
No.
The first half of The King of Limbs. Sorry, that was a
What?
whole cancel, that album. No, the last...
It's like the first song, I was just hooked.
The second half of Limbs is so much... Everything from Lotus Flower onwards is really great.
Yeah.
I'm in the huge minority,
also
I know,
the
but
first
I think Dinkar, you and I, we've talked about
The
this.
Benz.
I'm in the big minority.
Yeah, of course.
The Benz is the only
Benz
album I
Benz
like.
is obviously...
a album, but then
I like that's
Pre-
the only album that I like. I don't like
Pre-crazy
anything.
Radiohead
I haven't heard anything.
is good. Radiohead also. I like the
Anything
Benz.
new.
It's my favorite because we're old school musicians and we like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay, I mean, I like
Which is
it,
your
but
favorite Radiohead album?
Kid A.
Kid A, obviously, yeah, I know everybody loves Kid A. But OK Computer. Anyway, okay, so but why we're talking about Radiohead is, do you think Radiohead is the next band that fits into this whole nerd... Like, if you think of musicians who could fit very easily into the whole sci-fi thing, you think, Bowie.
Bowie, yeah.
Because, he's a nerd also. Prince, maybe, because he did Batman. Okay. Who else, man? Like, who I guess Michael Jackson was a bit of a big nerd, you know?
Okay, well, have you heard, very recently, as of 2 days ago, I think?
Yeah.
Did you hear about Taylor Swift and Dazzler? Did you
Yeah,
hear about this?
yeah.
No, I didn't. I don't know. What's up?
Apparently there was a leaked script that was made in the 1970s or 80s, I think early 80s,
Okay.
of the X-Men's Dazzler, right?
Oh!
Who was,
Yes, I
this
just read
diva pop singer
pop
thing,
superstar, yeah.
pop superstar, like
Jedi
essentially the Madonna,
headline.
Lady Gaga of her time or whatever it is. And I forget who penned the script, but the script was completed with cameos including Kiss, including Bo Derek playing Dazzler herself.
This was a Marvel thing. It was an X-Men.
Yeah,
She's
very
an
much
X-Men.
so. Yeah,
Ah,
very much so.
sweet.
Like she is in the X-Men universes. Rather, that's a horribly phrased
Is she in the canon? Like, she's actually canon?
She's canon. She is
sweet.
within their universe. She is their world's pop diva superstar.
That's so
right?
strange. It must be
And
like
so-
Jubilee, I guess. Like a precursor to Jubilee.
So
I
recently,
see.
as of a week ago, I think it was. I keep forgetting her name.
yeah.
Sophie Turner. That's her
Sophie
name, right?
Turner. Yeah,
Sophie
from
Turner, yes.
X-Men,
so
Apocalypse, and
right,
Game of Thrones.
Exactly. So she tweeted out a picture of her and the young Cyclops on set at a record store holding up a Dazzler record.
There's
right?
an actual record?
As in, no, it's in the movie.
It's
like
a prop from the movie.
It's a set
like a-
photo. It's a set photo of her.
It's like
holding that up, right?
Easter egg.
Yes, basically, it's like an
Alright.
Easter egg. However, now this is where it's getting a little a bit like a rabbit hole.
Nice.
Is because about 6-ish months ago, somewhere around there,
Right.
they also tweeted out a photo of Sophie Turner. I was going to say Poe Dameron. Nope.
Oscar Isaac. Yeah. It's Apocalypse, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So Sophie Turner, Oscar Isaac, and Taylor Swift hanging out somewhere in Montreal or wherever where they were filming.
Where they
were-
hang out, yes.
And they were like, all right, cool, that's a random picture. But then Taylor Swift was again seen, I think, somewhere near the set.
Oh, no.
Blah, blah, blah. And basically the internet has now started
churning
out rumors that there seems to be potential for
A Dazzler spin-off starring Taylor Swift as Dazzler.
No.
definitely a Dazzler cameo starring Taylor Swift possibly in this movie.
Yes, that
but
might happen.
based on the fact that there already exists a script that was rejected, but an insane script from like the 1980s that was like so over the top because of the number of cameos that are in it. I saw it once and I couldn't believe what I was reading, so
It's
I kind of
basically
lost track
campy
of
as
it.
all hell.
Campy as all hell, but like
Right.
so over the top with
Right.
like literally Kiss riding on like Steel Panthers.
Amazing.
Like the band Kiss playing Kiss, riding in like the Four Horsemen or some crap on like whatever the hell they were
It could
riding.
be like the
it's-
Josie and the Pussycats movie, which was good.
It was not bad, yeah.
Yeah,
I did
I
enjoy
thought it was
that.
fun, yeah.
I did enjoy that. And I'm wondering now whether Josie and the Pussycats will make a cameo in Greg Berlanti's Riverdale, which is also coming to the CW.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Could,
yeah, Archie.
Yeah.
That-
was a great segue.
Not bad.
Cool. So I'm excited
6
about
on 10.
Dazzler because, they could easily pull it off as one of those campy, ironically funny kind of films starring Taylor Swift.
Do you think it could be like another Deadpool level of like satire on the franchise?
It will
If
be,
it's especially
but
starring Taylor
it'll be a
Swift.
period piece.
That'll be
Like, it won't
hilarious.
be like, it has to be set in the 70s.
No. It's set now because I mean clearly unless they go back to the past again because they've already done
why
that
is
once,
it
I
fun
suppose.
anymore if you remove the campiness of the 70s, man?
Don't you think they could do campiness now?
It's like an Olivia Newton-John kind of film. It's like how Kung Fury was made. So I think probably that's the level of camp that. By the way, that guy, I've been saying that guy who directed Kung Fury should actually be directing Ready Player One because he's so super nerdy.
He's directing
got-
something though, right?
Well, I don't know. Is he?
I think so.
Amazing. All right, guys, we've done enough of talk before Civil War.
All right, spoilers will begin.
Spoilers begin now. But first, I want to thank
Yeah, man.
Saurabh. Yes.
Shout
Damn,
out.
son.
Saurabh from Flare Path.
Just walked in like a guardian angel. I woke up that morning thinking,
Yeah.
wow, this day is going to be pretty mediocre. And then
And
I
then
get
we
a
were
text
just
saying,
like, wow, we're
not
watching
so much.
We watched Civil War
Jesus
a whole
Christ.
week before everybody else did.
Yeah, man.
That's amazing. And like that
It
makes
was-
us like official, like like press peeps. You know what I mean?
Okay, wait. Okay, so to that point, before
Yeah.
we actually talk about the movie, can we just take a few minutes to talk about the actual experience of going to this premiere? Because I mean, at least for me, this was my first time going to a
premiere?
a legitimate premiere
Well,
of like this nature. Like just
well,
the
it was
way in
not-
which.
It was a special screening.
It was a
let's
special
say.
screening.
It was a special
premiere.
screening. Okay,
like
special
even
screening.
because the funniest thing is we were outside PVR in
Yeah.
Phoenix, and there were a bunch of tripods, not cameras.
Empty tripod. There were no
Empty
cameras
tripods.
to be
They were
found.
just tripods.
Like a line of like 10 or 12 tripods.
I was
just
like, is
in-
this like a joke to tell us we're not important or something like that? This is how much we care about you guys. We're not
But
taking your
it did,
photographs.
like, you can't deny it. Made us feel kind of cool when
It
we
made us
when we're
feel
standing
cool.
there taking selfies and like a bunch of photographers are like, should we be taking their photos too? Like, are these
The
guys
answer
important?
is yes,
Because they're standing
Jishnu.
on the red blue
They
carpet.
should be.
The
So,
answer is
like-
yes. No, so the cool thing about this, the only pretty much cool thing about this, so to speak, screening was that they had like a really cool archway of like Captain America's shield with like the star kind of removed so that it became like a doorway, like a gate through to enter the cinema, and that's about it. But it was quite big, and I liked it. And that was the only thing that
You
so
can
if you want to check it out.
You can edit that out. Just take that one sentence out. And let's
No,
save that for later.
Okay, cool,
Yeah,
fine.
cool.
So, but you can check out the photographs of it on our website geekfruit.in. But like, yeah, you can see it was cool. And then there were a bunch of noobs in the theater.
Yeah.
So, yeah. While I did enjoy having watched it a week earlier, I'm still not always for watching a movie so early for the simple reason that the crowd, and call me a nerd hipster, a nerdster. No, that's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
That's
Okay. Yeah, but the only thing was that there were like kids and moms and stuff, and while they may be nerds, for example, let's take the people who are seated right to my right. And literally, this was the only contribution they had. Like, they were just like, ooh, ah, throughout the entire film. But when Paul Rudd made an appearance, instead of saying, whoa, Edgar Wright is no longer the director of Ant-Man, and I'm so glad because Peyton Reed has done an excellent job with Paul Rudd. Instead, they were like, oh my god, Paul Rudd is so hot.
To be fair,
And, like,
I
after-
also went like that. So.
Yeah. Well.
But that point, my beef about the
But it was
particular
loud.
crowd
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was that so there was that cordoned off VIP section with the velvet
It
rope
was
and all
so
that.
late also,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so like I assume that was for like the celebrities, whoever they were, because like we looked behind when they eventually
We
showed
saw
up.
one guy, right? Who did
did
we
you
see?
recognize?
We saw
Arjun Kapoor.
Arjun Kapoor, the something of India.
Cool.
Apparently, he's famous.
His last name is Kapoor, so I'm going to assume he's famous.
Yeah, is he a relative of somebody?
Yes.
Is it nepotistic?
He's a relative of one of the
Is it
Kapoors,
nepotistic
clearly. I mean, that's
Bollywood
about it. That's all I
working
can-
its way
It
again?
is, yes.
Okay.
But I mean, so like you said, like a lot of them were noobs, and that's fine. I like, I have no beef with
Sure.
a noob watching the movie because I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
love for more people to see it.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
the not an ethical dilemma, but the thing that kind of like annoyed
Go
me.
for it.
The thing that
Unleash
annoyed
your
me.
inner hipster.
The thing that annoyed
Say
me
it.
was like, why are people that really don't know, like they
Give
wouldn't know.
zero F's about the film.
Yeah, they wouldn't recognize this movie from Adam. Like they
Yeah.
wouldn't have a clue. So like especially
Adam
like, at the-
Driver, who's in Star Wars. That's who we're saying. They're like, oh my god,
Like,
why
it's
isn't
like-
Batman in this?
like at the end of it, right? So like it's a thing that maybe like less than 5 minutes before the end of a movie,
Right.
or rather before the credits start to roll,
Yeah.
they'll occasionally turn on the exit signs.
Oh my
So like one, I hate them. Like crap, I didn't want to know the movie's almost over, but thanks for telling me anyway. So once that happens, I see people start to like get up and walk away, and then once the credits start rolling, like more than 50% of the crowd gets up and starts to leave, and then obviously 2 minutes later, the first post-credit scene starts, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, picture bhi ho raha hai." I was like, "Yes."
Picture abhi
Have
baki
you
hai.
have you never been to this kind of a film
I
before?
know, apart from that,
why
though-
the hell are you at this screening then? Like,
There
please,
were-
like, because there are thousands of people that would kill to be at a
I
earlier
agree.
screening of it.
And dude, there were people like walking throughout the film.
I've never seen
Did you
more
see
people
this?
walking.
Yeah.
I've never seen more people walking in front of the screen in the middle of the movie, just casually walking out
casual.
in and out. Like
So cash.
like no care for the fact that one, they were like blocking the screen, but two, like if you have to leave, like fine. If you really need to pee or you really got to do something, fine. You
from
got to
the
do what you got to
back.
do. Go from the back. But also, they were doing it so casually in that they didn't
Yeah,
care
look
that they were
ashamed
missing.
about it.
They didn't care that they were missing out on the film.
and
they
every
really
scene
couldn't
is
be
like
bothered.
pivotal, and
Yes.
it's like, yeah, it's that kind of film,
So like, if
especially.
you don't give 110% of a damn about this movie, why are you at an earlier screening?
Nice,
You're
Jishnu.
stealing it away
Yes.
from
More.
all the anger. Give
Oh my
it
god.
to the
Jishnu
It's okay.
is turning green.
and he's turning to the dark side. By the way, it's at
They
the
have
time of
cooler
this
costumes,
recording.
right? Let's be honest. The dark side has cooler costumes.
It does.
I would always prefer to take on the dark side.
Well, Anakin kind of walks that nice line in towards the end of the Clone Wars Avengers. He's got a black kind of thing. Anyway, sorry. What? Yeah, he's got.
I know what
Jedi
you
robes.
mean.
Yeah, okay.
It is May the 4th, by the way.
Yeah, at the time of this recording,
Congratulations.
it's May the 4th.
We made it,
So
everybody.
May the 4th be
We're-
with you.
I'm honestly usually more excited for May the 4th than my birthday. Because I'm like, hey, I've made it to another May the 4th.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like, I get more jazzed about things
Do you
that I
think-
see on May the 4th than on my birthday.
Okay, so we're recording this in the morning. Do you think anything's going to happen today? Like, are they going to release the title of episode 8 or something?
No,
I don't
they've
know.
already
I
put
didn't
out.
feel
So,
like it.
so here's the thing. So before we
They did some Force for Change stuff.
They did some Force
Yeah.
for Change stuff, and
Yeah.
that obviously came out at about midnight.
Yeah,
US
Daisy
time.
Ridley.
Yeah,
I love her.
The
Oh my
fact
God.
the fact that that's out, unless that's midnight in US time, unless they put something out during the day,
Yeah.
which would be like our night, our May 5th maybe. So there's still potential.
Yeah, there's potential. There's time for that.
This
but
is all
I think
hearsay
mostly
because
it's going to happen at Celebration.
By
I
the
suppose.
time this episode's out, people will already know if there's been anything. So I feel
Yeah,
like
I think
speculation-
Celebration June. I think it's next month is when
Yeah.
they're gonna definitely.
title?
Yeah, I think the title should be out next month.
title in a poster or something.
What do you any guesses, guys? Any guesses?
For the title?
Yeah,
None whatsoever.
not Shadow of the Empire or something
No.
like that.
Really? No.
We spoke about that.
We
once.
spoke about that.
Shadow of
Yeah.
the Empire.
No,
No,
it was
well,
a book.
Well, there's
that-
no longer any Empire.
book in a
It's-
video
it's,
game, yeah.
it's the
The First
it
Order.
is First Order. So there you go.
Shadow of the First Order.
Yeah, it's still
Shadow
some
of the
equal, isn't
Empire
it?
Shadow
equal
of
to
the
First Order.
Shadow of the First Order with fries, please.
Nice. Siddhant, our producer who's here, is going to be spoiled today because of the Civil War that he's not watched. Any suggestions for the title of episode 8? Since you no, none. He's got nothing.
He's got nothing.
All right.
I'm gonna say on the record, I genuinely feel really bad about what you're about to hear because, like,
Yeah.
seriously,
So this is our last warning. Before,
please-
we'll take a break.
please leave.
Yeah.
Like, like we will note down everything we say and give you all your homework to
Yeah.
you. Like,
Yeah.
I feel really bad about spoiling this movie for you.
And then you can hear like our real listeners on Savan.
Yeah.
Who are just like, oh my god, this show, so good. That's what they say. I hear. This is what they tell me. Anyway, so we're going to take a short break and we're going to come back and talk all about Civil War.
On Savan.
Finding the right drink at the right place can be a big challenge. Exploring a new destination to its fullest could be a daunting task.
So tune in every Friday and listen to the Drinks and Destinations podcast with Rajita and Samira, who introduce you to the world of fine wines, beer, spirits, and travel.
You can subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Audioboom, or any other local podcast app.
And we're back with the Geek Food Podcast. Remember, spoiler
Galore.
alert. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about Captain America Civil War. This is the third installment of the surprisingly popular Captain America series. Like the first one, the first Avenger, wasn't I'd say it was an average film.
It was
an
aight.
average film.
It was fun. It
It
wasn't
got better.
great.
It got better on
repeat.
multiple. On
Yeah, repeat viewings.
I thought
But
it
that's
was,
only because you know what's coming later. So it's like you
But-
see the setups that you
yeah.
didn't appreciate, obviously, because you didn't
Yeah,
know what's
there's
being
so
set
many
up.
great setups that
Yeah.
that's a big thing about this movie. A lot of the setup in the first two films have really paid off so well in this, and this you could say, and I believe that this was supposed to be like a closing chapter to the whole story of Cap and Bucky, but because Batman vs Superman was announced, they were like, yeah, we got to do something more interesting with the material, and that's why they announced Civil War. And lo and behold, one of those two movies has come out the victor.
Hey, so speaking
Yeah.
of that exact point, the BVS resulted in the Civil War idea being, or rather, Civil War getting created.
Yeah.
I actually watched a whole lot of press conferences, like the full 40
Did you?
minute
Of course
hour.
you did.
Because obviously, I
Of
did.
course you did.
So I watched one in Europe that they had, where in which somebody asked about that, not specifically BVS, but like just
Who were they speaking to?
they were speaking to the whole cast
Russo,
and
okay.
Feige and the
Russo
Russo brothers. So all of them were there, right? And so somebody just openly asked, like, "Hey, so how much do you guys end up actually, following through on stuff because of
analysis?
competition? Like, yeah, because they did that, so we got to do this. How much of that do you do?
of course.
And I mean, I don't know if this technically counts as on the record. I think it does because they've said it at a press conference.
Yeah.
And Feige said, no, we don't really pay much attention to what they're up to. We have our own game plan. Civil War was an idea that we had the minute the book came out, 10-something years ago. We said,
2006, yeah.
wouldn't
Exactly 10 years ago.
it be great if this could be a film? So they always wanted it to be a film, but they said only like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, once they had enough players set up and
In
they
the game,
realized
yeah.
and they realized the MCU was picking up steam, that they said, let's do this. So according to them, from the horse's mouth, they said this had nothing to do with BVS.
Well,
but I'm not sure if I fully
no,
believe that.
I agree that Marvel has always been like, we're gonna do what we have to do. And it's so funny, there's that great quote which is from Captain America, which says, which is there in the movie. It's one of my favorites. Where, you have to plant yourself in the river, like a tree in the river of truth, near the river of truth, and say, no, you move when the world asks you to move, right? And that's exactly what they did even with like the release date of this film. It's like Captain America and Batman vs Superman were both supposed to release on the exact same date. And they both, waited it out to see who would move.
Yeah.
And Batman vs Superman moved. They made it earlier.
Yeah.
So it was like, that's such a Marvel thing. I think they've always been very secure with who they are, what their direction is. And Feige has been he's Master Chief, man. Like,
Yeah,
this guy
seriously.
he's got all the cards in his hand. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's never had a misstep, I'd say. Not all the films of the MCU are great, but what is this film, man? Like, how good is this film? And really, it seems to be like a culmination of everything that we've seen in Iron Man and their characters. plus
Everything
Captain
is paid
America.
off. Every
Everything
single thing is paid
Such
off.
a
I was worried, like I'm sure everybody else was to a certain extent, about would this get to be too much of a cluster F bomb?
Cluster, Cluster F.
And so that the big scene that's in the trailer is the airport scene where the final fight, well, not the final fight, but the big fight
Yes,
happens.
not the final fight.
Yeah.
That's great.
yeah, that's
where-
right in the middle of the movie.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
where the big fight happens.
Yeah.
We were always, a little concerned, like, how is he going to handle this? Because, we've seen epic war movies go horribly wrong because it gets too much and
yeah.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
So they filmed that scene on IMAX cameras and it shows. This was one of the
So
first
good.
times, I genuinely was like, something different is happening right now. Like, I'm experiencing a different movie within this movie right now.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's so perfectly executed that at one point, basically once Ant-Man does what Ant-Man does.
Yeah, so great.
You can spoil it,
I-
I suppose.
Yeah.
He's sitting right there. I can't
Okay,
look at
it's
this guy.
cool. You do it,
No, I'm
so
spoiling this for him.
Ant-Man. Okay, and
There's
here's
a
why-
million of him out there. And
Let
you're
me-
going to spoil it for all of
Well,
them.
they
So go ahead.
they choose to listen.
Let me
He's
preface
also-
this. Okay, so Dinkar and I were sitting next to each other, right?
Yeah.
And we were just like, he's like, I'm going to try something right now, which I've only tried in the lab.
Yeah.
And we thought it was
Yeah, we
reference to-
thought it was going
he's like,
subatomic,
going
yeah.
subatomic.
Yeah.
And then when he becomes like Giant Man, you're just like, what the
Yeah.
hell? This is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, every cool thing that happened in this film was not ruined by marketing. How
Yeah.
f***ing great was that? That was amazing.
This is what I loved about this film so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Like, everything was a complete surprise and such a good surprise and such a pleasant surprise. And I just see
Sorry,
his, I see
producers,
his
that's
face,
just
I see his
rolls down
face
Saddam's
dropping.
cheek.
At
But
this.
dude, I just want to say,
Oh my god.
Giant Man, like,
so
amazing.
just wow.
So cool.
I'm
So
so
good.
I'm one of the guys. This was come as no surprise to anybody that's listened to this show. I'm the kind of guy that, like, when I watch a film, even if I'm watching a big nerdy film like this, and like I'm in a crowd of people where everybody goes like woo when like Han Solo walks on screen, or when somebody's like doing the
Yeah,
awesome
yeah.
stuff, we go yeah, and like you scream and shout, and that's fun. I never do that because
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm like hey, I love the energy, but I'm just gonna sit and watch. Once Giant Man happened, I legitimately
Yeah, we all went-
I
we all-
audibly went what the.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was so out of there. But
was
what I'm
amazing.
getting at is that it was still so well crafted.
Yeah,
that
it
at
was
no
not
point did I lose
unnecessary.
track. Like, there were literally 6 different fights happening, 5 different fights happening,
Yeah.
and people bouncing between fights. Like one guy's tagging and tagging out, and like
Yeah.
different locations. I never lost track of what was going on. I
That
was like,
really well handled.
how did
Like,
this
it was
happen?
Perfectly choreographed, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised, right? Because there's like so many different, and what's the cool thing is like the exhibition of like everybody's powers
Yeah.
coming out so well.
Nothing came out cheesy. Nothing came
Yeah.
out like, okay, because he did that, now we're going to see the next guy's
That's the
special
other great
trick.
thing about this
It
film,
was
right?
so...
Nobody felt like slighted. Like nobody felt like they lost some screen time to another person in that sense.
This was like a
everybody
tightrope
had-
act that was just
like every
always
line
steady.
is so economically
Yeah.
used.
Yeah.
I mean, some people have like Iron Man's got one of the best lines in this film. I mean, no surprise, but like the moment Giant Man happens, he's just like, "Does anybody else from our side have any special or fantastic power that they've been hiding and keeping secret for all this time?" And I was just like, dude, that is such a great such a self-referential kind of line. It's just like,
Likewise, Falcon has one when they first
Falcon
when
also
when
some
Falcon
great
and
lines, yeah.
Winter Soldier first see Spider-Man like crawling along the wall. They're running to like catch up with somebody, and out of nowhere this like red streak comes by, and like, well, not red streak, but a red and blue streak comes by and sees that. They don't know who he is. They've never met the guy before,
Yeah,
right?
it's awesome.
Like none of them had met the guy before. And the first thing he says is like, "Man, everybody's got a gimmick."
Yeah, everybody's got a gimmick.
It's
That's
like-
so great. Man, so let's just take it back. So that airport scene obviously is fantastic, and it's kind of like a beautiful vignette. It's a perfect example of how well balanced this film,
Yeah.
and it's got a lot of things going on for it. First of all, the main thing of the story is the actual fight. So there's what is called the Sokovia Accords. And it's basically they have started off the film by saying, you know what, you've done so much damage. It's not like how BVS is, and the number of similarities. I want to bring that up a little later on, but they're talking about all the damage they've done like previously, all the damage the Hulk has done, and that's why T-Bolt Ross is there, so it's like a good addition to this film. So they're talking about Sokovia, they're talking about New York, they're talking about everything that happens in I guess
Lagos.
in Lagos, which is
In Lagos is the first sequence.
the first
of the
sequence
movie.
in this film itself, when Crossbones kind of has what exactly is going on? Gosh, I gotta,
What do you
so
mean?
what's happening in Lagos? They're trying to basically take down Crossbones and his terrorist activities.
Yeah,
so to speak.
exactly. Yeah, so they know the Crossbones and his team are targeting that
And
building.
this is the new Avengers, right? This is
Yes.
the new Avengers.
This is
which
the Avengers that you saw at the end of
At the end of Ultron.
Yeah, so it's
Scarlet Witch, it's Falcon, it's Cap, and who am I missing? Black Widow.
Oh man, I have to make my points about Black Widow, like
course.
easily one of my favorites in this film. So they start off there, and it kind of leads to an incident where they are then held accountable for, and they said, listen, you have to sign this agreement, and basically it'll keep you under government control, and the UN will make
The
a new
UN control,
Yeah,
in
the
fact,
UN.
yeah.
The UN will make a new kind of section of its, like a new assembly, basically, to kind of govern your actions and say where you can and
We
or
will
can't go.
discuss these in a committee.
Yeah, in a committee. Yeah. And so basically, obviously the split happens right there and then. And sides are taken. And I think one of the best lines is by Vision, which kind of really like encapsulates that bit where I think they're at the new Avengers
HQ,
HQ, and it's just like he's just like, just look at it this way: from the time superheroes have started, there's been an increase in like catastrophes and
supervillains.
Supervillains.
Yeah.
It was just so true, and I was like, wow, nobody has put it more accurately than obviously
Yeah.
Vision. I thought that was just
And
great.
another thing I liked is that, I mean, we'll get to Black Widow, like you said, because she had such a vital part in this, but I feel like everybody who had a really big moment of dialogue where they sat down and had to sort of speak their piece to everybody.
Yeah.
I felt like everybody's line where they sort of like summarized their whole thing like that particular line.
Yeah.
It came from the right person. at all times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always thought like, yes, you would say that.
You would
and
exactly say that.
I get why you're the only one that would say this.
Yeah.
The way you said it.
Like
that's
War
just,
Machine.
That's good characters to a large extent,
Yeah.
which I think is what makes this movie work to a large extent. Because when Batman v Superman came out,
Yeah. You don't have that backstory, I suppose. Yeah.
we don't know who they are. We're coming in with assumptions of our own. These guys are going for something else, and that is not made very clear.
Yeah.
So like you're like, okay, they're basically just the same dude.
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
here,
Yeah.
everyone's like a distinct personality by themselves.
Yeah.
Like who would have thought in a movie with this many superheroes we'd come out thinking Black Widow was kick-ass?
Dude, Black Widow
Yeah, right?
was
Was
one of
so
I think
good,
she was
yeah.
the best. And dude, it is time she got that solo film.
I know, right?
Like so badly, because there's so many. Like we were just talking about, everybody has a legit point to make about this. Like, at no point did I feel like, oh, this one's, this one's opinion, it doesn't like ring true to, because you have so much material that's happened, just like you said. There's so much that has come before this film, so it feels like the right time to make this. And Black Widow, just like so perfectly, she's been like such a strange character, right? She's had like, so to speak, relations. I'm putting quotes up with everybody in that sense. Like, she's in Captain America, Winter Soldier as, slightly kind of love interest, and she's been with the Hulk. She's had this thing with Hawkeye. You've never really known who she is. And this movie, she pulls that like the actual double agent thing, which was so fitting for her. She kind of saves everybody. And I'm just telling you, like, with her stuff, like, involved with, there's this one moment where she's fighting with the Winter Soldier, who's like the real centerpiece of this film. And while they're fighting, she's like, you can at least pretend like you remember me. And my only theory, which is the only theory that is there, is that whatever they have referenced in Ultron, which is the Red Room, which is where she was raised and, and all that stuff, that's exactly where the Winter Soldier came from. And I think the logo, which is on the book that Baron Zemo holds up, I think is the same, is a symbol of the Red Room, And so, I think they need to make a Black Widow spin-off, which is either like a prequel or like goes back and forth. And just talk, and it should have Black Widow and the Winter Soldier.
Lil Black Widow and Bucky.
Yeah, exactly. Because they've already like,
they're both victims of some weird brainwashing.
Exactly. It would fill in a very, very crucial gap in the series, which is between kind of like Agent Carter and I really hope Agent Carter does come back for season 3, because it would really fill in this Red Room gap.
Yeah.
And do that and like make a prequel out of it, and even like maybe introduce like Hawkeye at that point. Dude, how amazing would that film be, dude?
Yeah.
What
I was also very, very pleased to see was in the previous movie in Winter Soldier, I don't think I was the only one that wasn't like terribly impressed with the Winter Soldier character himself. Like, I didn't really leave that movie once you see him saving Cap from the river and all that. Or is it the other way around?
He saves Cap.
Yeah.
And the opposite happens in this film.
Yeah. So when that happens at the end of Winter Soldier, and like you see, okay, the Winter Soldier story will continue, and I was like, all right, I'm more invested in Cap than Winter Soldier, but cool, I guess I'm in for this one. So when Civil War, became a thing, and we knew that he was again a big part of the movie, I had no investment in Winter Soldier. I knew that the movie was going to revolve around him, but obviously I think I was far more interested in Iron Man versus Cap.
Yeah.
And so I was so pleased that within like 20 minutes, I was immediately taken by the Winter Soldier. And I feel like maybe just his performance or what it was, but like
great.
he was just written so much better, or I guess
there's more about him in this movie.
There's more of him, I think.
His scenario was more, was just a better place to be in, I suppose.
And
in
it's
this
quite
one.
emotional also. I mean, like, he has a really troubled, like, past. And even if you've read any of the Ed Brubaker stuff, you know that this character is, like, she's got so many secrets and so much depth. And you just, like, you can't help but feel bad for him, like, throughout this entire thing. Like, even at the end of this film, like, they, like, literally have put him into storage to bring him out later, probably for Infinity War. And he's got, like, this crazy history. And it's like the one really good line. He's like, well, we're both 100 years old.
You really feel. One good thing is you
here?
really understand everybody's perspective, and you understand like what people have at stake here, and like you really feel that, or rather, really get a good understanding that Bucky and Cap are the only two
who can understand what that's like.
Who get that, like, we've been around for 100 years. We're the only two people here that have that perspective, and so that therefore we are brothers in that vein. Even though,
literally.
Like 90% of the film, they're at each other's throats. And 90%, but like maybe like a little more than 50% of the film, they're at each other's throats. And then all of a sudden they flip and like, cool, now we're BFFs again. Yeah. And it didn't seem weird.
It did, of course. Because
it didn't seem weird.
Such a crazy, like,
because
they have a history.
I get where you're coming from. Because like a lot of the stuff on paper should not work.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff, a lot of the beats
everyone's
should not
history
work, but it works so well.
has worked so well in this film. There's one, even like another part which I loved, which I thought they should reference, is like, Hawkeye and like Black Widow are like fighting, and then they're fighting, and then
depends
suddenly,
on how hard you hit me.
Black Widow's like, we're still friends, right? In the middle of all, it's like, depends on how hard you. It was amazing, dude. Like, that's so great, and it works also really well because then she turns out to be a double agent. So it's like it. Every line in this movie has just, man, there was so much going on. It's like, I think hopefully by the time this episode comes out, we should have watched at least twice as twice.
Yeah, definitely.
So we get a better grasp of things.
Can we move to the Panther? Because I want to tell you.
Before that, just last point again about this whole 100-year history. Last really, really sad thing, which I was really upset about.
No.
The SMS that he gets, he's just like, she's gone. went in her sleep. Like, that
Yeah.
was just like, oh, what a way to do that
I know,
also, by
right?
the way, right?
Also, do you
And it's just
realize
like,
this is probably the first time that character's ever received like an upsetting text message? I mean, like, he's never like, we've all like had bad news delivered in like the most horrible ways, like a text message
Yeah.
or like a email or some crap like that. It's like, really, you couldn't tell me in person? And, like,
Yeah.
he's like, he probably just discovered how to use iMessage. And he's like,
No, he's been around for a while. But like, you know, it was just like so well handled because, I mean, like, he's in this, and you know, like, for anybody who's watching the film for the first time, or like any of this series for the first time, like many were in this theater, I mean, like, it won't mean anything. But like, the moment, I remember all three of us were just like, we looked at that and it was just like, god damn
Yeah.
it. Because we've watched like Agent Carter,
Yeah.
you know, we've watched like, you know, everything that's happened, in like the previous films and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this guy is not gonna catch a break, is he?
And
Yeah.
actually, in that vein, I guess in one movie, you see the death of Peggy, not how she died, but they tell you she died in her
Yeah.
sleep. So it's you see the death of Peggy, and you get to watch Howard Stark die.
Yeah, exactly.
So as far as the Peggy Carter, the Agent Carter TV show is concerned,
it's the end. This
you've
is-
seen the end of like the two biggest players.
Players in that game.
Like all we need left is our Jarvis, and then we've got the whole
Yeah,
Agent
it's true.
Carter starring roles
and also,
taken care of.
what's his name?
Sousa.
Sousa, yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, that show is amazing.
Yeah.
I hope they continue it, man. Like, I
better.
hope
I'm sure they
season
will. I'm
three-
sure they
Of
will.
course.
Yeah,
I'm sure they
she's
will.
so good in that.
Yeah,
Anyway, so continuing. Yeah, let's talk about the Panther.
Right?
Dude,
So I legitimately walked away like with that final scene with him and Zemo.
amazing, dude.
I felt like I learned a life lesson.
Yeah, dude, of
I
course.
genuinely felt like he had taught me something. I was
did
like,
teach you something.
I paused for thought, like during that first credit roll. I was just like sat there with goosebumps, and I was just like, wow. I think I need to rethink my life.
Yeah.
I need to change how I deal with stuff.
It's
It
that
was
line
so-
about vengeance, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
He's just like, you know, it's like he learns like so quickly. Like, what would take like Marvel characters like
Yeah.
3 movies to get like, oh,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be an ass.
And he learned it from Zemo.
Yeah, exactly, right? He's just like, you know, you guys have pit these two against each other. You know, I can't end you with vengeance. Like, otherwise I'm the same. I was just like,
One of the best like ending lines. The living are not done
Well,
with you yet.
yeah, exactly.
Such
Yeah.
such a baller line. And also,
he's a baller, dude. Let's just talk about how cool
When
the
I-
Black Panther is.
when I think about it, you know, every supervillain at some point or the other will deliver his epic speech where he like gives you the whole
Monologue,
spiel
yeah.
about like why you're doing this and blah 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 blah. And then the hero will either make a snarky line, which actually they do more often than not, and then they'll proceed to chase him or beat him up or do whatever. But in this one, I like that Black Panther's confronted with the guy. He could have just killed him then and there, but he's like, "Oh, I totally see your point. I will not kill you.
This guy's a
We'll just
rational
put
man,
you."
dude. He's the
such
king of a nation. He's
he's-
got to be like a little level-headed. Apart from the
He was
fact
the
that
king of
puts
a
on a
nation for like a month or
Yeah.
maybe less than, and he's
So,
already like
interesting
achieved
point
that
though.
level, you know?
Let's just preface the whole Black Panther thing. So Black Panther was gonna be not as important as a character
Mm-hmm.
as he is in this film. So what I hear is that Spider-Man was supposed to be the biggest character, like in terms of the new character that's involved.
Yeah.
But then when talks with Sony was not working out, they were like, and this was before Amazing Spider-Man 2 released, by the way. So when that movie came out and bombed, they were like, okay, he's back on the table. But by that time, Black Panther was already such an integral part of the script. They were just like, let's just keep him there and let's just put Spider-Man into it. And which is why this movie is like the longest Marvel movie yet. It's like at 2 hours, 26 minutes.
Something like that.
So it is already really packed to the, you know, like rafters. So, I mean, but I think without his involvement in this film, you won't get the third person perspective of the whole Civil
Yeah.
War thing, right? It's a great, like, in
It's like
between.
he and
middle ground,
he
yeah.
and Widow work as a beautiful pairing of like being third parties on opposite ends of the spectrum. Because
Yeah.
I feel like his intention is to create peace.
Yeah.
Widow's intention is to sort of like
Disrupt?
disrupt, but also sort of play like tough love.
I
Of, like,
agree, yeah.
I'm gonna do
I don't
what you
feel
guys.
like she was consciously trying to disrupt. Like even the part where she flips, I don't feel like
she's
that was
not
a
doing it
planned
for-
moment. Yeah. Where she
No, I
wasn't
think
being-
that was planned.
Yeah.
I think
It seemed
basic-
to me like she had like a crisis of faith, and she's like, "All right, I'm on your side now." No.
Well, there's a
I don't know if she
few
was like a
scenes-
double agent in the sense that she was always on the
Always-
other
oh,
side.
yeah,
I don't
fair
think
enough.
I don't think she was always
No,
on.
but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean, it's alluded to previously when she has those couple of conversations, one with Tony Stark, one with Captain America, also
At the
with Steve.
church, yeah.
Those are
Yeah, I mean,
those
like
are great.
she says things like, you know, I'm not the one who needs to be worrying about watching their back or
Yeah.
something to that
Yeah,
effect,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Dude,
so yeah,
she's
I don't
so
think
cool,
I
man.
don't think she like always planned. Aha, when I'm alone with these two, that's when I will do it, so that nobody else can see what I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that she always...
She was always conflicted.
She was, alluding
Even
to the
when
fact
she
that, like,
agreed
look,
with Tony, she was like, well, like, I mean, it's only because I have to.
Exactly. I feel like she made it clear that,
she
like...
was flip-flopping.
She made it clear that, like,
and
I'll only do it to a certain
and
extent.
they talk about that
reason.
in that whole conference room thing. I mean, they speak about, like, wow, Black Widow, you're on the side of registration.
Right.
I mean, like, so, I mean... It felt like it didn't feel wrong in the beginning, but like when she flips, you were like, of course, yeah, you know, like so it was really well handled.
You're following the story with her, you know what she's doing.
Yeah. So I think just to come back to Black Panther, I mean, so they've kind of changed his origin. A bit. So like, as far as I know, there are two origins for him. One is like I think there's another in Wakanda. There's like the whole ritual. Whoever can beat the Black Panther in like single combat, he becomes the king of Wakanda. And I think that's how T'Chaka originally kind of like dies, and like his honor has to be whatever. So that's one thing. The other, so I think in the Ultimates, it's Ulysses Claw, which is played by Andy Serkis, who is, I think, obviously going to be the villain of the Black Panther film. And he basically kills T'Chaka. But they have kind of changed all of that here. Yeah. He's out in like, and it's just like, it's one of the weaker parts of the film where, he comes to his son, he says, I'm proud of you. Yeah. It's like, this guy's gonna die. This guy's gonna die.
Countdown clock pops up next
that was also like the only thing that I guess was kind of like spoiled a little bit by the trailer, and that like we saw the explosion at the UN. We saw
but we didn't see T'Chaka in
no. So I mean, like, so we saw the explosion at the UN. So we saw the exterior shot of this particular building blowing up. We then saw a shot of T'Challa lying on the floor in rubble, crying over the death of somebody. Clearly, And then
it was not Chewie as we thought, as we did when we saw the trailer for Force Awakens.
And so yeah, like I mean, the minute that this thing is established, like okay, this building is very important because this is where the big meeting is going to happen, and like everybody in the world that matters is in this room, and it's headed by that guy's dad. Well, clearly, who do we care about? Like, they didn't show us anybody in that room besides those two people. So it's like, well, Black Panther's not going to die, so I guess it's the other guy. And he's not going to be Black Panther until that guy dies. So,
that's true.
So yeah, I mean, it wasn't the worst spoiler in the world to have happen.
Yeah, and it was within the first
It was like,
hour?
and that whole scene lasted like 3 or 4 minutes.
I was just really hoping that James Earl Jones was his father, like in Coming to America, Eddie Murphy's dad. By the way, just a really weird digression as possible. That's not a sentence. But in Coming to America, there's enough James Earl Jones dialogue, which is without any background music, to clip and make new Darth Vader like sentences out of if you just like manipulate his voice. Sorry, I've really wanted to do that for a long time. Everybody who's watched Coming to America, you'll know what I'm talking about.
You should do
anyway,
that.
So yeah, we're going to take a short break at that note.
Let's pay some
And
bills.
we're going to talk about, obviously, we're going to talk about Spider-Man, we're going to talk about Ant-Man, we're going to talk about the rest of the cast and the future.
Hey guys, this is Malika Singhania, co-founder of the blog Stylogram, where we cover trends, fashion forecasts, celebrity style, tips and tricks, and lots more cool stuff. So tune in every Thursday to the Stylogram podcast, your weekly style telegram, giving you the latest fashion and beauty stories that are relevant to you. You can also subscribe to our show on iTunes, SoundCloud, Audio Boom, or any other local podcast app. See you soon.
And we're back with the Geek Fruit Podcast. We're talking about Captain America, the Civil War. The Civil War? Civil War.
Hello again.
Hello. We have Jishnu.
I just wanted to say hello.
Yeah, that's all. When you say hello, I have to introduce you again. Jishnu.
Hello.
Dinkar.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, good. Okay, cool. So I want to start with, start this segment with talking about the similarities between Batman vs. Superman in this film. Dude, 3 things. Both of those films start in Africa. There's something that happens in Africa.
I'm telling you, man, diversity is the name of the game today. Everybody wants to
how do we expand our world?
Yeah, why Africa? Why is it like I don't understand. Like it could have happened anywhere else. Like one happens and Superman is blamed for everything.
It's got to be
the same thing happens.
location.
Yeah, see, the BVS made no sense. This one makes complete sense.
Yeah,
to include Wakanda.
That
sure. Makes complete sense.
Exactly,
because
right?
it's in the universe already.
But and over there they have the crucial the meeting in this congressional hearing. Where Superman appears and then everything blows up.
Yep.
Here, they
Same
come
deal.
for this exact same thing, right? Exactly the same thing that happens. So, Africa, the conference, and it's all about the parents. Both movies are about the parents.
Yep.
Did you not like?
Yep.
I was just like, oh my god, did it really just come down to that? Especially like when we see the footage of this car in the beginning itself, when the Winter Soldier kind of goes and crashes his car and whatever. Like I thought about it when they showed it the second time in the film. I was like, oh, this is definitely how it's dark. And then the third time, obviously, it becomes the point the breaking point for Iron Man and Captain America to start fighting. And I was just like, wow, it really just comes down to folks.
I think that's also because, I mean, superhero movies now are all going, like, basically, we've had enough of, like, all right, I'm a supervillain, I'm going to blow up the world. Why? Let's not talk about that right now. Let's blow it up first.
Yeah.
So it's got to get more serious. We've got to have more, different themes at least.
It's got to hit home.
Yeah, it's got to hit home. So all of them are going in the same direction. It happens with, like, all sorts of movies. Like,
Trends, the trends
Zombies
happen.
were a trend at one point. Vampires were a trend at one point. Now it's Africa, I suppose. But like,
I'm telling you, U2 is going
to
do a soundtrack soon enough for another superhero movie. They tried for
like
Spider-Man. They tried Spider-Man.
No, they did Spider-Man.
They failed for Spider-Man.
It was a great soundtrack.
The soundtrack was good. I'm talking about the production itself.
The production failed, but was the production bad? Did anyone actually watch that damn thing?
No, that was the problem.
A lot of
Well, that was the problem.
I think it was popular, but not popular enough.
Yeah,
By the way,
it was
Hamilton nominated for 16 Tonys, right? So
no, I think it's nominated for 14, but there are 16 nominations because a couple of them have 2 actors in the same category.
Oh, sick. This will actually beat the producers, that mean. I think this is going to beat the producers. The producers have 11 Tonys in the
12, I think.
They're on the
12,
fast track to win.
Wow. Anyway.
They
more
could
than
win.
everybody else.
No, if they win all their categories, they'd win 13. But that's, well, I suppose it's possible. It's the most talked about musical in decades.
That's so true. Anyway, sorry, coming back. Nods. Okay. All right.
So superhero movies are going into that one direction where it's becoming about the cliques and the clashes.
I'm going to avoid the fact that you just said One Direction and move on. But yeah, man.
Another super group.
Yeah. Batman versus Superman and Civil War. Same themes, same topics, almost. One handled so well, one not the best way. Nope. And you're right, man. I think that it really does come down to this. You know, we know where every character is coming from.
Yeah, because see, when I see Howard Stark die, I really care because I've seen this character
so
for like years,
of that.
Especially now with Agent Carter. Like I've seen so much of that guy. Yeah. When Martha gets, I'm like, who the hell is Martha? Like, why do I even give a damn?
Yeah,
like,
we know Martha, but see,
you know what I mean? Like in this universe, I know Martha is in the comics. I don't know.
No, but Martha is there in Man of Steel, but it's still not enough, I suppose.
But that's one Martha now. There are 2 Marthas. You see what I mean? Like. The other Martha, I don't know anything about. It's like
it's basically
it was not as
you don't know what this movie is with BVS at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not as emotionally resonant as this film was.
Like, basically, the stakes in this one are completely. I can empathize with all the stakes. In BVS, the stakes are equally high for everybody, but I just have to take you on your word.
But having said that, let's talk about one character that is introduced for the first time in this film, but everybody knows about so well, and that's Spider-Man. Yep. And you know, you could tell, like in the theater when we were all sitting there, the moment like Peter Parker's introduced, everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's Spider-Man!" And like you didn't need anything, like no backstory, no nothing, which they clearly avoided in this film. Like he doesn't even say, "With great power comes great responsibility." But when Tony Stark asks him, you know, why are you doing this? He's just like, you know, when bad things happen and you can do something about it, then you're responsible for it.
I thought it was a bit of a...
It was heavy-handed.
Like, heavy-handed. Like, he came up with a way to say it that was 3
but
times
that's what Amazing Spider-Man also did.
Like, well, actually, when someone hands you some sort of
it
power, we could call it...
But here's the thing, though. Like, it's because... This is 15-year-old Peter Parker saying it, right? So he's a kid and he's already fumbling with his
like
words.
The snappy way to say it.
Yeah, and that was Uncle Ben's thing, right? Uncle Ben said, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. But like if Peter Parker has to say it, he'll be like, I don't know, I guess when, you know, sometimes...
You know, like when someone gives you like a lot of power.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God. Sorry, but anyway, but that's like, that's the vibe that we got from it. And okay, so let's hear it. What did you think?
What was great was that they canned the whole
backstory,
origin story, which, so when BVS started with the whole, you know, Batman's parents dying, you're like, again?
Yeah.
Because we know this. We've seen this.
It was literally the first scene of the film.
Yeah.
Which is just like, man, not all over again. And like that's why it feels so fresh, because you're just jump right in like Spider-Man now.
Yeah, no wonder Batman's wounds are so fresh. I mean, he's just like constantly like, oh my God. Anyway, but yeah, coming back. So what did you think of Tom Holland?
I thought he was really good.
He was amazing.
Yeah, he was good.
He was solid.
It's
like I have
so
no
cool
qualms.
to see,
Still fresh, right? Still fresh, even though we just saw Andrew Garfield mess it up.
Because he was completely different. Like Andrew Garfield was playing a high school kid, but he looks more like a college age guy. So like I didn't really buy it because he's like this lanky adult on a skateboard, like running around. Like I'm trying to be young.
But
I was
he
like,
still had the young feel. I mean, I didn't mind Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker at all.
I liked him a lot more than Tobey Maguire. But still, this guy, like I believe him.
Yeah,
I believe him
it.
completely, and the sputtering and all makes complete sense. He says he's only been doing for 6 months. He doesn't know exactly what he's doing. He's smart, so he can kind of like put stuff together, but like he doesn't know how to execute it properly. He's got the math down right, but he doesn't know exactly how to go about doing it in the slickest way possible. Yeah. And that's really all that Tony has to come in and do. He's like, cool, you've got the mathematics down. I have the way to put this to put this into practice.
Yes,
and make
which
it
is a
good.
perfect match for both of them, yeah.
What I loved more so than just Spider-Man alone, with regard to the Tony and Spider-Man combo, is that obviously, the whole thing of a dynamic duo and like having a sidekick is been in the comics for years and years and years. I'm not talking about these two, but just in general.
Yeah, but this has been in the last 5 to 10 years. Like they've made the Ultimates version has made Peter Parker much younger in comparison to Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Which they're doing here as well.
So the having a sidekick thing has been around for a while. But what I liked so much about this particular sidekick thing, which is very different than like say how Falcon is to Cap and how let's take Hawkeye and Black Widow are in general to the Avengers. Yeah. What I liked about this one,
my god,
so sad.
Yeah, just sidekick the two of them.
Yeah.
They're kind of in the Avengers movie.
Once again, in the last two films, those two have done way more than anybody else. They're the only people who've got their heads.
I'm not saying it's
straight.
bad, but I mean that is the role they play. They do it very, very well.
So
but that
good.
is the role they play.
Even this
that's
movie,
why they don't have
Hawkeye,
a movie.
Hawkeye was so great in this.
That's
film.
why they don't have a solo flick. Is because they're considered the sidekicks.
Sorry, just aside, but when he comes to save like Scarlet Witch, like from
it's great.
He's so
It's amazing.
good. That guy is amazing. He's so. I mean, coming from where he began as in the first Avenger, he's just like
he's
killing
progressed
it.
so
He's
much.
so much development.
Like when he comes back, you feel that he had to get out of retirement for this. You're
exactly.
you get it because you've seen his kids.
No, and you just feel like, oh, thank God, Hawkeye's here. It's cool. That's it.
Like he feels like the adult.
Yeah, he is the adult.
He's the adult
because
he's the only stable guy.
He's married. He's got kids.
Yeah,
everyone
else is basically like a teenager.
Everybody's either pissed off their girlfriends or let their girlfriends die or some crap like that. Like
let them die.
Yeah, let's even talk about that. But let's finish with Spider-Man first.
But so what I was getting at with Spider-Man and Tony, what I loved about it is the fact that he had, he said lines like when they're in the middle of the fight and Spider-Man does the first thing that you see in the trailer, he takes the shield away from Cap and then like the fight begins, right?
Yeah.
He knocks out a couple of people and then he runs up to Tony. He's like, "What do I do now, Mr. Stark?" He's like, "Just keep your head down. Stay away.
Stay away from this fight."
He said, "Web him up and then run."
Yeah.
I don't want you in this because I feel responsible for you.
Exactly.
He was a mentor.
He's a mentor. He's not a sidekick. He is a protege, which we haven't seen yet. Like
it's very
Falcon,
Batman and Robin almost.
It is very Batman and Robin, but like Falcon, obviously
Falcon is an awesome. Like he says,
he's great.
When they
He's
shoot
so
at you, they start shooting at me also. It's not like a sidekick thing.
So the thing is, he's far more psychic than as a protege to Cap.
Yeah.
Like
True.
he's never intended to want to like be the next Cap. He said, "I want to be your equal." Spider-Man doesn't want to be Tony Stark's equal. Spider-Man wants to just learn from.
He just wants to make him proud.
Yeah. He's like he was running around like a puppy. Like he was like, "What do I do now? Okay, now what do I do? Okay, do I do that?"
So cool.
Because like every time he said a funny line, he's like, "Well, Mr. Shark said to go for your legs." Things like that. So I mean, it
sounds nothing like him, but sure. No, there's one great moment also, which is where he just like he's got this insane power that he doesn't even know what to do with. Like, where especially when, the Winter Soldier is such a badass in all these films. Like, that first moment when we see him catch Captain America's shield. From that moment onwards, this guy is bad. And he's so badass in this film. Like, he's quite an equal to the Black Panther in this.
Yeah.
There's one moment where he goes to punch Spider-Man. Spider-Man just catches his hand and he's just like, wow, you have a metal arm. That's so cool. And he just like stops him. He's just got some insane power. Like, so they've given him that, he can lift a bus. And, he can do anything.
I think another thing about how Spider-Man was introduced was it's not like the most seamless way. It's literally like it's as ham-handed as say an intro in BVS was.
This is very true. This is very true.
Oh, hey, I know a guy. Spider-Man is in here. So BVS did the same thing where they just like suddenly threw in everyone else. But when it's a good movie and when you don't like, so BVS tried to over-explain going right click open with
oh my god.
Right click open with DC.
Open with VLC.
They could have had like a giant flashing graphic on the right going like opening 2017. But they weren't sure of their movie. They weren't sure of how they were introducing the characters. So they're like, okay, there's, actually Lex had this whole flash drive which had everything in it. Now Wonder Woman's opening it.
Flash drive.
Spider-Man's here. Let's go. That's it. And if the movie's good, we're not going to question it.
That's what Black Widow and this one says. Like, oh, I've got a guy. And she's like, I've got a guy. Where's your guy? He's like, it's downstairs. Where's your guy? She's like, and then they cut to Queens. Yeah, which is great.
Which is all you need if it's a good enough movie. Like, we will trust now that maybe there'll be more of an explanation later. That's all.
I mean,
in Homecoming,
the Homecoming film that has been announced and is obviously coming out next year, I'm assuming.
17, I think.
17, okay,
really? That's soon? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they just say, let's do this movie now, man.
Because it's perfect. Because
this guy is so good.
He's there for all of 10 minutes, I suppose, in total?
I think about 10. Yeah, he's got 10, 15 minutes.
15 of it.
Yeah. But he's so great in all of it. I wouldn't say he was the best thing about this film. And I'm glad they used him only in that amount, sparingly, because he worked. And I'm so happy, and we'll just move on, that the third act of this film becomes so much darker, and it comes back to what this movie is really about, which is that Baron Zemo, the villain who's so underplayed, his character.
Right?
I really, Zemo in the comics has a great purple mask and his crown, and he's got a sword, and he's just such a big villain, over the top villain. He's played, and when they said Daniel Brühl is playing him, he's great in Rush.
And Frederick Zola, man. Inglourious Bastards.
He's Inglorious.
Right. I couldn't get that out of my head the entire time.
He plays alongside Chris Hemsworth in Rush, Ron Howard's film. And he's so great in that also, that I thought that, he's going to play he's going to be the next Christoph Waltz or whatever, and in this film, but just under the
radar. That might have been one of the weaker aspects of the movie. In fact, he wasn't a great villain.
I thought he was, I beg to
really
differ. I think he was really good because he was not, you don't know he's a villain. And that's the greatest kind of mastermind. Lex Luthor is this character, and the comparisons are, you can't help but make them. But Lex Luthor is this mastermind who's he's got this weird way of speaking. This guy's just normal. He just goes, infiltrates, the Avengers, whatever. By the way, we'll talk about S.H.I.E.L.D's lack of involvement in this film. But he just under the radar. By the end, you think he's got this whole thing where he's going to unleash these other Winter Soldiers.
Yeah.
But he just kills them off and says, the only thing I want to do is destroy this empire of the Avengers.
Yeah.
And it's so great. It's actually it's a mastermind.
It's
this is a real plan.
It's pretty cool.
I loved how understated it was.
And it works. It worked. He won at the end. It's like the Joker. He's I won't compare him to the Joker, obviously. But
he had the Joker came from the same sort of dogma as the Joker.
Yeah, the Joker wins at the end of The Dark Knight. This guy wins at the end of this film, man.
His motivations and stuff were pretty good. I feel like maybe, everything else was so in your face that the understatement didn't it's not the first thing that I think of when I think of this movie. It's not even the fourth.
But that's the whole point of the film. These two are so consumed with their own battle. That's what he wants.
That's the thing that I was thinking about a lot. The minute the movie was done, I was just I'll be totally honest. What I was looking for when I looked at these press conferences, I was really hoping somebody would ask this question because I really want to know the thought process about the writing of this film from Feige and the Russo's perspective. I want to know
Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, those two guys who have written everything else, amazing writers, man.
What I really want to know is, so obviously the big selling point, the big marketing point for this is it's choose which team you're on, right?
Team Cap was
they
the team
never in the marketing ever mentioned Zemo. Fair enough, because all the star powers with these two guys. So did they obviously in the book that it's taken from, Zemo is a big character, but clearly the whole Cap versus Iron Man fight is a big enough thing to make an entire movie off of. It's clearly big enough to sell this movie off of. So did they ever think to themselves, maybe we don't need a quote-unquote villain because these two guys are antagonizing each other, there's your fight.
That's actually what I think.
Right? So the entire movie through, like you said, it was very understated. Zemo was a very small character in a lot of ways in that regard, and that he wasn't larger than life.
But he starts everything.
He does start everything.
He kickstarts the whole Winter Soldier thing.
Which is why this Black Panther thing really hit me so much at the end, when finally you get to hear Zemo say his monologue, because his monologue when he's confronting Cap and Tony is cool and all, but he doesn't really say
it's a typical monologue.
It's a typical monologue, but his final monologue before he wants to commit suicide, when he speaks his true piece because he knows he has nothing to lose, and that's when Panther says, you know what, I'll show you real justice. I won't let you do this to yourself.
And the other thing is
that's why Panther's my favorite guy, and that's why I think Zemo works.
Zemo also works because they've given so much more emotional baggage. He is a victim of the whole Sokovia thing. And also, by the way, the first woman who basically confronts Tony after his MIT kind of speech, she is actually supposed to be, by the way, she's the second character apart from Sousa, who's now been in Avengers and been in something else.
She was in
She's
Ultron?
been cast in Luke Cage as somebody somebody else. Yeah.
I see.
So she basically plays that mother, and she
Nice.
says, this is what happened and stuff. And I was just like, that everything works well, and he is also a victim of that. And the fact that he just he wants to destroy the Avengers because he's right. Like what Vision says is right. Like the more that this is going to happen, I think how it's going to come to a close is that Infinity War is going to happen, and they have no choice but to come back, and that's obviously what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But let's also talk about the ending of this film after a short break. We'll just talk about the consequences of Civil War.
It was rated Goregaon's most intelligent podcast. It was the best new podcast of the day when it was launched. And now, the irreverent brand of attempted humor and botched education is coming your way. You have many burning questions.
So what is the Brexit? What do mathematicians do, man?
Introducing Simplified, a weekly podcast that deconstructs issues around you, such as, what on earth is Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin is just another currency like the rupee or dollar. The difference here is it's a virtual currency.
Do resolutions in cameras really matter?
They think that just because a number is higher, what they're getting is actually more.
And encryption.
So encryption, is a process of encoding messages in such a fashion that only the intended recipient sees it in its intended format.
Hosted by Narendra Shanoy, a very wise man who can't stop making B.G. Woodhouse references. And Deepak Gopalakrishnan, who calls himself Chuck, a madman who can't stop making poor jokes.
Naren, what do you call a forest where you find all the latest news?
I don't have a good feeling about
that. A topical rainforest.
Follow Chuck and Naren as they scour Google and read Wikipedia for you and condense it into language you can understand. Simplified, helping you appear smarter to an audience that knows no different.
Hello again.
And we're back. Geek Food Podcast, talking about the ending of Civil War.
And what it means.
Yeah. So it's good. They never really, in Ultron, they kind of ended by saying this is the new Avengers. But they never really reference them as secret Avengers in this, because so Captain America busts them all out of jail is what we assume is going to happen. But now they're fugitives from the law. That's what's going to happen. So good question that somebody asked. In Ant-Man and the Wasp, is Ant-Man still going to be a fugitive? Like, is he going to operate outside the law, as a vigilante, and not as a hero? And how does that affect the Wasp also? Like, how's that going to work? So that was a good question. I was just thinking about it. I was like, yeah, that's true. I think everything post this now is going to be they were right in saying that it's going to be a different world.
I think it's going to make that much more sense as to why Doctor Strange is now going to leave and go to Tibet. I mean, obviously that is his origin. We know that's where he gets taught how to do everything that he does. But the fact that he sort of pulls a Batman and runs away from everything that he knows and says, "Screw this, you guys are nuts. I'm going to go elsewhere and do that."
It's not out of choice, though. I mean, he has an accident.
He has an accident. Of course. Yeah. I mean, it makes complete sense. But I feel like now, in this context, the fact that he gets knowledge and peace while being away, when the whole world knows that, if you get superpowers, we're going to come for you.
Exactly.
He now runs away to a cave. He's like, this is great. I'm going to sit I'm going to sit, and the fact that his home base is under everybody's nose. He's in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and he's going to be hidden in plain sight.
No, but you can't find the Sanctum Sanctorum. Sorry, just a trivia piece.
No, you can't. I know that's what I mean. The fact that he's there and he's sort of hiding from everything, it puts his whole world now that will be shaped into a much better perspective. So I think, this whole vigilante thing is going to play out favorably as far as I'm concerned for us, because the status quo is completely broken. And this being phase 3, the first one for phase 3 makes complete sense. Everything is now changed. That changes
everything. So basically, to be a new hero, to be a hero, you have to do it outside the law.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, man. That's really good. And I think, I'm glad they didn't do anything cosmic in this film, in that sense that there was nothing there was no Thanos-related stuff. There was the only, I think, reference of it was about the mind gem, which Vision has.
Yeah.
It talks about how, he can't really control it. And the only one, seemingly, who can control him, which probably indicates that she's going to be a big player in Infinity War, is Scarlet Witch.
I'm sure she will.
So, she's going to be quite important. And at the end, she was better. Her accent was still all over the place.
Yeah. She's having a hard time with that accent.
She spent a little more time in Albuquerque than in Chechnya.
She should have gone to Chechnya.
Yeah,
but it is so weird to see Vision in a cardigan.
I know, right? Because we were wearing away with Ralph Lauren.
But Jishnu had a great point. He's obviously going to dress like Tony Stark, is because he is probably pretty much half like
he gets
Tony
hand-me-downs.
Yeah, exactly. He's I wore this for a week. It's yours now.
Yeah, and I guess he kind of. It was good though. I mean, this movie. I think So where was S.H.I.E.L.D. in all this? This is a good question, because S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of makes its reappearance at the end of Ultron. We don't really question it why they came back after they were just recently dismantled. But did they come off like just for like a one-time thing? Like were they the Hulk of this? Like this thing. But like there's no Nick Fury in this, and
right.
I
was very surprised because what I honestly thought would happen with the Peter Parker reveal. Now the fact that Tony obviously knew about his whereabouts, he had all this footage that he'd seen, he'd done some recon on Spider-Man, hence he went to him and said, I found the right guy to help me fight. I figured something like that would happen. I figured like somebody would have to have known about this guy for a while and then reveal, by the way, I have my Adobe Illustrator files right here for this guy. So I thought that would have been S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah. Because at the moment, S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing a roundup of Inhumans and trying to get everybody.
Yeah, so why don't you just tell us what's happening on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Maybe that can
So we are now 2 or 3 episodes away from the finale. Tonight is the second
is it Civil War-ish? Are they talking about Sokovia?
Sokovia, yeah. All of them. Not the Accords. The Accords haven't come up yet because obviously the movie has to reveal the Accords. Next season will be all about the Accords, I'm sure. Honda Accord, I'm sure, will come in and do a
nice one, Jishnu. By the way, product placement in this film.
Milo.
Nestle Milo. And Vivo. Jesus Christ.
Oh, that was just
Iron Man's technology is Vivo?
That was not called for. That was
they are owning the IPL in this. Okay, sorry, moving on. They do. They're the main title sponsor of the IPL. It's Vivo IPL.
Oh,
anyway, sorry, come back.
What was I getting at?
Yeah.
So with S.H.I.E.L.D., basically, we're just like 1 or 2 episodes away, 2 or 3 episodes away from the finale. And do you guys know about Hive?
Yeah, we knew.
So Hive is in.
It's there in
Secret Warriors.
Agent Carter also.
Yeah. So basically, they are way into the whole cosmic space right now. Portals jumping between planets and universes and whatnot.
Right.
And so Hive was this mythical and mystical Hydra entity that's sort of like the demigod of Hydra.
It's a cosmic Hydra.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so he's been on another planet, and now he has taken the body of an ex-S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who betrayed them and went Hydra.
Yeah, I know that guy. What's his name? The first season guy, right?
Yeah, Ward.
Grant Ward,
yeah. So Coulson has now killed Grant Ward, and they think,
what?
Oh, cool, we've killed Grant Ward. But now Grant Ward is taken over by Hive, and so Hive is now living in Ward's body.
It's like Secret Invasion now.
It is literally Secret Invasion. Yeah. But thing is, Hive, so he's like this he's this tentacly kind of weird looking monster, but he
Hydra, like a Hydra, Jishnu?
Like an octopus, Yeah. So he can take anybody's shape that he wants once he's killed them. He basically has
like chameleon.
Kind of but he has to live in their body.
Okay.
But so he also takes over their memories and whatnot. So right now he's on a mission to take over the Inhumans. So there's one Inhuman, the main girl, Sky, who at the moment has been brainwashed by Hive and sort of seduced by him because he has Ward's memories. So he's like, hey, remember how we used to be lovers and I've seen you naked? I know everything about you. I know because you've told Ward everything, and Ward is dead, but he's dead, but it's me. So it's a weird mind trip.
So nothing about Civil War then.
Here is where it's getting to it. Here's where it's getting to it.
Okay.
So their fight at the moment, let's save Sky, obviously. But they found, so amongst all the Inhumans that they're rounding up, one of them that they found is a guy who can see the future. So they found a guy who has seen the death of a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and that's the big tease for the finale will be somebody's going to die. Who's it going to be?
Oh no!
And
only Jishnu cares.
Only I care. Yeah.
All right, cool.
And the way it's going to tie into Civil War, as best I can figure, is that with this whole Inhuman roundup and with the Accord equips.
Oh my! You are mixing your
I'm mixing everything.
Yeah.
But once the Civil War storyline comes into play with S.H.I.E.L.D. next season, I'm sure it's basically just going to be about the Inhumans also being vigilantes and how they're trying to round them up.
Pretty much, but they're serving the purpose of the mutants in the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
so the mutants were excluded kind of during Civil War, as far as I can remember. They were excluded from the agreement, as was Doctor Strange, by the way. So Doctor Strange was given an exemption because he was just they were we don't want to mess with this guy. That's exactly what happened with Doctor Strange in the comics. So okay, cool. Let's
Civil War 2 has it come out yet?
It's
out.
No, this month.
It's coming out
end of the month or next month.
Yeah.
It's in a matter
I'm very interested in what
I wonder what they're going to do.
Yeah. It's kind of just we're just doing it.
It's a cash-in because the movie.
Cash-in. Yeah. Which is so strange because it would be the other way around now.
It could be good though.
It could be good.
It's a brand new. It's a new era for this kind of stuff.
Depends on who's writing.
I'm not sure actually.
Brian Michael Bendis? I don't know.
I'm pretty I feel like I saw his name. I didn't recognize the other names, but I think
he's
I saw
good.
him. Anyway.
He's solid. But just let's touch on the last couple of things. War Machine not being able to, Rhodey can't walk anymore.
Grounded, yeah.
Which I think they already had like a way out for that, right? Where they were like...
Technology?
Yeah, technology and physiotherapy.
Okay.
They'll sort it out. I don't think it's going to be much of a thing.
Yeah.
So not any real hardcore consequences. Like towards the end, that last battle, obviously he loses his hand. Winter Soldier loses his hand, as does everybody in the last couple of MCU films, as that Empire Strikes Back little homage.
Yeah.
But yeah, no real... remember before we used to like somebody's gonna die in this film.
Yeah.
I said it's gonna be Cap, you said it's gonna be Iron Man, but then we found out Iron Man is gonna be in Spider-Man, and then we found out Cap is definitely signed on for Infinity War, but we thought that he was gonna be resurrected in some form or fashion, like the comic books. But none of the sort. And I found that was fine because the ending is way cooler. Because the way he just infiltrates the raft and he comes and he frees all these guys.
Yeah.
It's great, man. It was so good. Especially Hawkeye's line, I don't know, what was he saying? He really puts Iron Man in his place.
He really does.
Oh, man, Hawkeye is so good.
He's such a realist.
I've just suddenly started finding out that the Black Widow, Hawkeye, all these people that you think are the secondary tier characters are just killing it, man.
Yeah, Jishnu, they're not sidekicks.
They're not sidekicks,
like
ass.
give them a solo movie and I won't call them a sidekick.
Dude, I hope, please, make a Black Widow film with Hawkeye and the Winter Soldier. And the Winter Soldier and Natasha have had relations in the thing. You can they should make it happen, dude. I don't know why they haven't as yet. So that's where we are at. Any other points you want to just bring up at the end of this film?
What is the next movie?
Doctor Strange.
I mean, after Doctor Strange.
I think it's... I want to say Spider-Man.
Sure, actually.
And then Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man.
Thor should be interesting because we've just put that entire thing on hold, right?
Yeah, so the Hulk was not here involved in this at all.
The Hulk wasn't.
I did appreciate
Thor's
the
entire thing about hold on, give me a minute, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I did appreciate the one reference that the Hulk got though.
And
what was that?
Somebody asked about Hulk, to which Natasha said, "Do you really think he'd be
on
your side?" Oh, Tony
right.
asked about Hulk.
Yeah, do you really think he'd be on your
side? You think he would be on your side? Yeah,
that's
which
good.
is true.
Yeah, that's true. And Thor, no reference of Thor?
Not really.
No.
He's basically been put on hold after.
What happened at the end of Ultron? He bounces.
He's like, I gotta
Peace
go
out.
see a guy about a thing.
Oh yeah, sorry, no, but the end is Loki is the king of Asgard, actually. Odin's.
Right.
I'm excited for Ragnarok.
I'm
plenty excited for Ragnarok.
Especially since it's Taika Waititi doing the film.
A whole other ball up in the air.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's gonna be good. Last thing, Martin Freeman in this film.
Yeah.
He shares a surname with Thunderbolt Ross. They're both Ross. Everett Ross is his name. Any relation?
Maybe.
Yeah. Don't know.
I mean, I'm hoping to see more of
He's
him.
a player.
He's
kind of like the Captain Phasma of this film. I think he's a player being waited to being used later on.
Yeah, probably. I would hope so. Because he's too big.
Maybe he had a bit of an arc that was cut because, basically, he seems like a
there are some
bad cop.
Good cop, bad cop. He plays both almost. You don't know.
He plays
always
cop.
Just try and mess with me, man.
So I think maybe
better than Beverly Hills.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I think Iron Man is going to become the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., kind of like the end of Civil War in the comics. I think he's pretty much like the head honcho.
He's the only one that the government likes to some extent.
Which is so surprising, right?
Yeah, right?
So there's no Maria Hill in this film, obviously, because she's chilling out with Nick Fury, probably. But yeah, so they're probably going to make Iron Man like the king of the hill. So I don't know, man. Yeah. That's probably what's going to happen. I think Everett Ross will then figure in that space.
Also, he's too big a casting choice to just say...
He's not a throwaway casting choice,
You come for 5 minutes, we'll pay you $1 million. What? No.
He's a Black Panther character.
Yeah, he's one of the liaisons.
There we go. Okay, so Siddhant, our producer, has just told us that he's a Black Panther character. And so he's probably going to be in the Black Panther film.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I think maybe that's
they have the Winter Soldier there.
Yeah.
They now have the Winter Soldier and Wakanda.
And so is Captain America going to be there?
Possibly.
Whoa.
No, he's only signed for that many
films.
Tell
me one thing. At the end of Ultron, is S.H.I.E.L.D. officially back,
no,
or is it just the fact Fury took a helicarrier and went let me save those guys?
S.H.I.E.L.D. exists.
S.H.I.E.L.D. is a running concern.
S.H.I.E.L.D. is very much they're official.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. post Age of Ultron is S.H.I.E.L.D. is very much back. Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. is very much back.
So then it's very surprising.
I either got to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or have you explain it to me over 4 hours, which might be more entertaining.
Yeah, somebody did that for me for Twilight, the movie.
Oh god.
Yeah.
It took 4 hours to explain Twilight.
Well, the books, he was explaining the books. Okay. It was my nephew. Anyway, so I guess that's about it for this. We're very excited about Black Panther. So let's see.
Yeah, man.
And there's those 3 unannounced films, the 3 slots that they are yet to fill in 2020, I
Phase
think.
4.
So I think one of them, he said, is going to be Guardians, the third part of Guardians. And maybe, I don't know, I hope Black Widow's in one of those. Man,
About
yeah.
freaking time.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all for our episode. If you like this and if you have any comments on Civil War, and hopefully you've seen the movie, because if you haven't, what are you, crazy?
Yeah, you shouldn't have listened.
Yeah, Siddhant,
Yeah, man.
producer. Find us online.
Oh, really quick, I want to give a shout out to a guy that wrote into us actually this
Emil?
morning. Emil.
Yeah.
Great name.
Yeah.
I had Emil for dinner
he's in
last night.
Canada.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
damn.
he listens to us from Canada.
Oh, damn.
Nice.
He asked about The Killing Joke.
The movie's not out. He said,
Yeah.
what do you think of the movie? I was like, it's not out yet.
I assume he meant, like, what do you think of the idea
Of
of
the
movie?
trailer.
Or the
Maybe
trailer.
he
or
It's
flipped
whatever.
the book
R-rated.
really fast.
It's R-rated, so it's going to be good.
Super excited.
It's got Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill.
I'll be honest, I have this one, no, it's not a dilemma, but I'm just like trying to think about this now, because I haven't read Killing Joke, right?
What?
So, hear me out. So,
Sorry.
That was loud and painful in
Yeah,
my ears.
because
It's
like saying I haven't watched Sesame Street.
So
Sorry.
with Civil War, read the books, read them multiple times now because the movie was being made. I'll probably read them again now just to sort of keep getting more out of it. Killing Joke, I'm curious to sort of see an animated film of it, because this is not, like you can get away with, you have much more liberty with an animated film than with a live action film, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of curious. I don't know if I want to read the book first and then watch an animated thing.
Please
or maybe,
watch the-
because
please
it's an
read the book
interesting,
first.
because it's an
Read the book.
interesting. I mean, just a different experience of consuming this work.
But the DC animated stuff is usually, it's very faithful to the books. It's
Well, I mean, so I'll tell you what, the only difference is the actual art is just like slightly easier on the eyes.
Yeah.
Like they did it for year one, for both the Frank Miller things, the Dark Knight Returns and stuff. They made slightly more in that Paul Dini verse,
like
kind
it's
of
a little
animation.
more colorful.
A little more colorful, but it's still hardcore. And this film is good. I mean, Dark Knight Returns was they got Peter Weller to voice Peter Weller, is that his name? The guy who played RoboCop to voice Batman and Bruce Wayne. And so he really brought and they've always had great casts and stuff. So Bryan Cranston was Commissioner Gordon year one. So they know what they're doing. They're very, very faithful to it. So I think either way, it would be fine. I would be interested to know how they end Killing Joke. Especially, I don't want to give away the ending, but the ending of Killing Joke is the whole movie. The last frame, pretty much.
Yeah.
And there's always been a theory about it. So I want to know whether
Which maybe
they're gonna.
you've seen, because that last panel
It's
is like
super famous.
all over the place.
It's super famous.
Anyway.
It's basically it's a joke. It's the joke.
Yeah. Basically,
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is it's sort of like my Game of Thrones experiment right now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not reading the books until the thing is done, just so I can experience it again
What?
in a different way. Why?
Oh,
Because
okay, I
why
guess.
not? Because I'm not losing no matter what I do.
So I'm doing.
I get to see it twice.
I'm
I get
just
to
doing
experience
it.
it twice.
I'm doing it now. So I'm on the third book, and I'm just reading it like as the series kind of moves forward, and I'm gonna read the books, whatever's happened before. So it's not different. Like,
Well,
as in, like,
I'm
not
sure
ruining it.
we'll definitely be dissecting Game of Thrones
As soon
once
as
the
the
season is
season's
done.
done, yeah.
So you can look forward to that.
Yeah.
Cool.
But as you were saying, follow us
Follow
on
us on
the such and
online.
such and the blah, blah, blah.
Geekfruit.in is our website. Please find all of our information there, all our posts there. We have a nerditorial where we kind of talk about all things geek and nerdy, but like an op-ed kind of way. You can find us on all social media. That's at Geekfruit HQ. And anything else, Dinkar? Thanks for being with us, Dinkar, on this.
Thanks, guys.
You're like the Hawkeye of this.
He's not a sidekick.
I thought we'd agree on Spider-Man.
Fine.
but
Okay. Next
yeah.
week, you just do one episode by yourself,
yourself,
talking
yeah.
in a
Yes.
room by yourself.
Because if Marvel
Then
can't
that'll
give
be-
them a spin-off
yeah.
film, we will.
Geekfruit fans, please shout out request for a solo podcast featuring just me, and
Spin-off.
it will happen.
Yeah. Spin-off podcast.
If we have enough demand.
And to that end, thanks, Emil. Thanks again for writing. We love hearing from anybody and everybody. So,
Thanks a lot. See you guys next time, and may the 4th be with you.
yeah, nerds.
Hey, Jishnu from Geekfruit.
Hey, Tejas from Geek Fruit.
Hey, man. So you're a musician.
Hey, so you're a musician too.
I know, and if you're a musician, the person who's listening to us two musicians and also Jishnu and Tejas from Geekfruit, then you should listen to Made in India. If you're a fan of music also, then you should listen to it too. It's with May, independent music for you.
Our podcasts bring all the boys to the yard, and damn right, they're better than yours. But you don't need to stand outside in the yard. Just follow IVM Podcasts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We might be on Tinder too. Just go ahead and swipe right.